Hello and welcome to our presentation on Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet. This is a pre-release presentation series made for Quest and Dell internal employees only. It's not intended for customer consumption at this time. With that said, let me go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, this is a presentation series with part 1 being an introduction to the cartridge and the cartridge initialization. Part 2, which is this recording that we're in right now, we're about to start, is the recorder presentation. And that's where we download the recorder, we record a script, and then we push it out to some of the beacon sites that we have available. And then part 3 is the Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet user interface. So that's when we'll see basically the results from the files that we saved in part 2. So again, this is the QuestClick script recording and provisioning demonstration, and QuestClick is the name of our recorder. So let's go ahead and go back to where we went in step 1, and where we started in step 1 was a login into the Foglight management server. So just for review, the Foglight management server is on-premise software that's installed on a Windows, Linux, or Unix operating system. So I'm using my install that I have right here, and what we did is we installed the Synthetic Monitor for Internet cartridge in our part 1 of this demonstration series. So let's go back to that cartridge and go to Administration Home, because we're still in the administration mode. Now what we did in the first part is we configured our synthetic monitoring. What this does is it lets the cartridge talk to the provisioning portal. Basically it's a web service that Quest has where we can speak with our account and manage our license. So this is to do a recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Install My Recorder Now, and I'm going to accept the install. And what this is doing is this is installing a plugin to my Firefox browser. If you have Internet Explorer, Safari, or Chrome, this will not work. It has to be a Firefox browser. So I'm going to allow it to install the plugin into my Firefox browser. And then what I'm going to do is, as I install this, I'm going to basically turn my browser into a recording tool. Now anytime you install a plugin into Firefox, you have to restart your browser in order for that plugin to take effect. So I'm going to go ahead and start it now, and we'll wait for that to come back. And when it comes back, what you'll see is a toolbar, and this toolbar is all your recording controls. So this is basically my plugin. This is my plugin. It changes my home button, and I'll also show you one other section once we do our recording. So what's important with your plugin is, as you're using this, you want a perfectly clean page like I have here. So I'm not logged into any other web servers. I don't have any other tabs open. I want it nice and clean so that when I start my recording, I don't get any results from other tabs that might be popping up from a refresh. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell it what type of browser I want to emulate. So I'm going to stay on normal for now because this is just a short demo to show you the basic functionality. But you can also emulate mobile devices. So once I click on this, it's going to start my recording, and it's going to simulate a visitor for me. So now you'll see this little green button is on, and that means that we are recording right now. So anything I type in to my browser will be recorded by the recorder. So I'm going to go to Amazon.com. And in Amazon.com, I'm going to go ahead and click on gift cards. And then after I click on gift cards, I'm going to click on sign in. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and stop. Just a really simple test. And I recorded 3 events here. And again, we'll go back to your licenses, but I just want to point out 3 events is what you'll be charged for on your license burn down. So every time it runs, there's 3 new ones. Now what we can do is, if we wanted to save this script, we can go ahead and run it, and the running would take it through a validation where it makes sure that I did a good recording. So you see where the green is highlighting, and that's going to tell me that these were successfully replayed, so I can reproduce the transaction that I recorded, which is good. So the next thing we could do before we save it is, I'm not going to do anything for now, but I just wanted to show you some of the capabilities. This is another piece of the plugin, and what this lets you do is it lets you see the script that you're currently working on. So I can click on here. I would be able to go to Properties. I can do keyword validation. I can do image validation. a lot of the functions that you would expect from a typical synthetic recording product. Right now, with all that done, I have my script. Let's run this. Right, that's what we really want to get to. So again, if you watch part 1, you would see that we created that account, that account with the license that attaches to the provisioning portal. So now I want to use that same account when I upload my recording. So this is logging me in as that same user that I had back in Foglight, that same user that has the licenses, the valid licenses that we need. So I'm going to say OK, and this is going to bring up a dialog that lets me now name my transaction. So I'm saving this transaction script again to the provisioning portal. So the transaction, I'm going to call it Amazon go to sign in. And now this is going to play back every 15 minutes as our default. We're going to emulate Firefox, and we're going to stop this script if there's any point that I come to during the script that takes more than 30 seconds. So if I click on my first link, I clicked on gift cards, and then I don't see the sign in pop up for 30 seconds, it'll just stop and time out the script from there and give me an error. So now once I say OK, it's going to give me a little warning here first that I don't have any keyword validations. That's a basic thing that you typically do when you record a script. But I'm going to go ahead and continue with my upload anyway. And I'm going to let it upload. Now what it's doing, once I said OK, it pushed my script to that provisioning portal. Now it's asking me for the next step, which is to push it beyond the portal. Right? So now it wants to know where I want to deploy it to. But before I go ahead and deploy it, I'm going to go ahead and enable this. Sometimes you want to deploy it but not turn it on yet if you're recording maybe some scripts that you're going to turn on when you go live. I also wanted to check page objects. So what's going to happen here is every element on the page it's going to get a timing for. So basically what I want it to do is not only get the page load time, but get the time for the GIF in the right hand corner and the style sheet and the JavaScripts. So all the elements on the page will be individually measured when I click on check page objects. Now the difference here, by checking that button, my cost goes up a little bit. So it's 0.5 credits per non-full page. So basically if I'm only getting the page load, it's 0.5, and I'm getting the full page load, the FP, that's 1 credit per page. And usually what you'll have here, once you know the costs for it, and you know the continent, the country, and the location, and also the backbone, that's all those things determine the location. So what I can do is select the ones I want to run it from. I'm going to select all 3. And then once I deploy this, again, it's saved to the provisioning portal already. Now when I click deploy, what it's doing is that provisioning portal is allowing that script to be pushed out to these 3 locations. So I'll go ahead and deploy it, and we'll wait for that to take effect. And for all intensive purposes here, we're done with our recorder. Right? So this is a Firefox browser, but I don't want you to be confused here. This is in recording mode. This is not something you want to leave turned on all the time. So you're just using this as a recorder at this time. So now what you'll do is you'll basically come up to Tools when you're done recording, and you'll disable that add-on so you can go back to where you were before. So I'm going to disable, and then when I restart, I'll get my home button back, and I'll get rid of this toolbar. Because, again, like when you added it, we had to restart. What we're going to do here is we're going to remove it, and then we have to restart. So once I click on that restart and my browser comes back up, we'll go ahead and now let me review this with you real quick. So here, just to recap what we just did, is we came in as a QuestClick user. We used the QuestClick transaction recorder. We saved a script to the synthetic provisioning web service, and then we deployed that script to 3 of the 70 beacon sites. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back as the Foglight user. We're going to go into the Foglight management server, and we're going to do further management or configuration of those scripts by adding it to a service. And we'll go ahead and we'll look at some of the results that were created from this deployment. Thank you very much for attending.